Lined up every man on the planet and you said, hey, listen, I got this red button. Nobody's looking. Nobody's going to judge you. You can sleep with other women and then go home and hold your wife and tuck in your babies and provide and be a good husband and father. Every man on the planet would look left, they'd look right, and they'd hit.
What a delusional fruitcake this man is. This has been making the rounds on Twitter, and it seems to me that Justin, whatever the hell this guy's name is of the opinion that there is no man who values honor, integrity, faith, God, family, wife over pleasure. There is no man that has integrity. You know what I really think this is? I think this is a cope. I think this is a ploy. I think this is a play to make this individual feel good about their degenerate behavior by ascertaining or making this kind of narrative that all men are of the same cloth, they're cut for the same cloth. And I really like this dialogue between Tim Pool and some other red pill degenerate YouTubers here. He and me are of the same mind, saying that this is the stupidest thing that they've ever heard. This dude is just saying that he's so everybody else must be too. Yeah, exactly what I said here. And also Isabella as well. Good men would never even consider this horrible take, yes. But we have the infamous Maron shipping in here. He is 100% correct him. Men are only as faithful as their options. The only difference between a rich, handsome dude and a regular dude is the former can typically be honest about it. It's crazy that you don't realize not all people think the way you do. It is crazy how you're like, I'm so disloyal that I assume everybody else must be disloyal too. It's crazy how y'all assume men who reject this must be lying. And then he said he's happy to have the discussion on a show, but if I lined up 100 men, 85 or better would prefer to have more than one woman. The exception doesn't make the rule. Men are hardwired designed to procreate and be promiscuous. This is where we can disagree, but biology is biology. I don't make the rules, I just report in it. And there is the whole crux of the argument. It's all predicated on biology. But you can't view a human being specifically through the lens of biology. And also, this wasn't true of what the video said. It was 100% of men, or all men, not 85% of men. I don't concede, I don't argue, by the way, that I think most men would happily do this, right? I'm not proud of saying that. It doesn't make me feel good that I believe most men would probably value their own pleasure over honor, integrity, their family, and their wife. But to generalize that, to say it's indicative of all men, to say that there are 0 men out there with honor, integrity, faith, and are fundamentally God-fearing is the most delusional statement I've ever heard, probably of this year yet. But it's not surprising to me that Maron Gaines only views the world through a biological perspective. He's not going to be a man of faith. He's not going to be a man of any other higher moral principle than himself. He's shown that time and time again. Yeah, moving the goalpost, we were talking about cheating, not whether or not you think men want more women is the question. Are men inherently disloyal? Would any man break their word if given the chance? Yeah, so this is the mind map we have to go through here. So we're going to pick up at the top. Men are only as faithful as their options. This is important for us to delineate and separate ourselves against these monsters, guys, right? I need you on my team. Well, not even on my team. I need you to be intelligent. I need you to be rational. I need you to reason why you're thinking and doing the things that you're doing. So the premise is inherently wrong because it's built upon the argument that men are only living to serve their biological functions. Of course, we are animals. We have testosterone. We have hormones flowing through our veins, and we are going to be influenced by them. And I said, I do digress. I think most people are influenced by their biology. But I think they're fundamentally weak and flawed individuals, not just men, women as well. It's unsurprising coming from men with no faith or values, morals or integrity beyond their own satisfaction. Now, I actually believe that this individual describes himself as a man of God, which is very, very ironic. It's also easy to say that you're a man of God and also do something else. I also seem to remember him on another video where a woman of faith was just saying, you're disciplined in your work, you're disciplined in your business, you're disciplined in all other areas of your life. Why can't you be disciplined with women? Because you're a weak man, because you can't control your sexual impulses, you can't control your biology. If you were a strong man, the strongest men are faithful to their family, their wives, their community, and they don't dip behind other people's back when they're not looking. And you know what's interesting in this video as well? He said, if nobody knew, if your wife didn't know, your family didn't know, your friends didn't know that you would do this, most men would. You'd know though. You would know what you were doing, wouldn't you? It just tells you what kind of individual this guy is. He's the kind of guy that you'd never have as your friend, because as soon as you went to the toilet, he'd be chatting up your missus. He'd be trying to put his hand on her legs. You know, again, individuals that's completely self-serving. They have no honor. They have no loyalty beyond their own self-gratifications. No inherent spiritual values, faith, and belief in God typically lean this way. They typically become their own God and are a self-serving entity at the cost of other people's well-being, happiness. Inherently selfish, inherently selfish. These men are the tyrants of the world and the killers of God and faith. I actually, in my book, Sexual Energy Mastery, say that this is one of the core principles of why we're in this degenerate cycle right now, because if you remove faith and God from the foundations of the culture, you put yourself there. So you inherently become a selfish entity. And this is true of all society, all cultures. As soon as God, religion, faith, spirituality disappears, it just all turns into a massive orgy. It all turns into very selfish, self-gratifying and self-pleasing culture, because you then are the highest authority in your life, not God. But when you prostrate yourself towards your God, your deity, whatever that might look like in your life, you are always going to choose more moral choices, more honorable choices. And it all starts with, are you a man of faith or are you a nihilist? Are you an atheist? And, you know, you can say all you want that you are a man of God, but hey, talk is cheap. Talk is very, very cheap. This is what I said in my book. Meditate on this. Once you dilute a man of his spirituality, he will serve nothing greater than his sexuality. He serves nothing greater than his sexuality if he doesn't prostrate himself towards some greater ideal, some greater vision than himself. And it's a spiritual perspective. It's a spiritual perspective that usually coincides with the men that aren't like this individual. Because you have to understand that you are not a man, you are a soul. You are a soul. You are not your mind and body, you just possess them. So you can observe your biology or you can identify with this. And this is, in my opinion, the perspective between a strong human dimension or a spiritual dimension and a weak human dimension. So their argument is purely predicated that you can only view a human being through the lens of their biology. I feel an emotion of lust, therefore I must act upon it. However, the spiritual perspective is, I experience an emotion of lust. I observe an emotion of lust. I witness an emotion of lust. We're not saying that we don't. Look, it's not saying that honorable men don't feel temptation. It's just they're stronger than their temptation. I can choose whether or not to express that lust, to express that desire. There are men that exist who inherently value pleasure over principle. That's true. That's never going to change. Unfortunately, that's the reality we live in. But we actually need these men. We need men like this to show us how not to live. We need men like Maron. We need men like this Justin fella to tell us that there are inherently selfish individuals that only gratify themselves, and we must move away from that. We must lead our families away from that. So we come to the end of the thought form here, which is it's fundamentally false to attribute this idea of all men. This blanket perspective is used to make individuals feel better about degenerate behavior. And that's been the case in this man's social media history. I think a lot of individuals parade this facade that they are these upstanding, moral, very virtuous men, masculine men that we should all aspire to be. But look at what they're really teaching you. Look at what, when they're asked the tough questions, what they're really saying. They're really saying that, well, I'm inherently selfish. I only care about my own gratification. I don't care about my wife. I don't care about my children. I don't care about my faith. I just care about pleasing myself. And again, the foundation in which I empathize with these individuals from a spiritual perspective because there's another human being here. I just pray that these individuals can find faith, can find God, can find some morality. They don't believe in karma. They don't believe in the soul. They're fundamentally, this is what I would believe if I wasn't spiritual, if I fundamentally believed that this journey ends when my heart stops beating. But I know that I exist beyond my heartbeat. I know I exist beyond my fingertips. And I think that's fundamentally where the difference is. If you're a spiritual man, if you're a God-fearing man, you think these individuals are fundamentally degenerates, and you won't entertain a single word they say after you hear statements like this. And those aren't theories, they're facts. Speak soon.